A very basic Bible. We're going to go look at the book of Ruth. Here we go. No, that's not it. Share that screen right there. Ha. Yeah, my cat's over there meowing, whining. I don't know. He wants to talk about Ruth with me. Here we go, guys. Let's start on Ruth, chapter 2. Go through kind of slow and look at some. Oh, look at that. Chapter 2, right there. Hey, I'm gonna help me out here. All right. Mouse, change the mouse pointer, display, or speed. Slow. Okay, now if I'm like, yeah, trying to move all fast, look up here, look up there. It'll go a little slower. So I need to trim the old sideburns. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Look like got the John the Baptist, the Elijah look. He was a hairy man. I don't know. Elijah was a hairy man. John the Baptist probably was too. Anyway, whatever. We're in the book of Ruth. John the Baptist, Elijah, not in the book of Ruth. Neither of them have been born yet. All right. Here we go. Now, let's go back and read chapter 1. NESB. I'm not going to stop at all. I'm just going to read straight through it. All right. I'm not going to follow with the mouse. I'm just going to read it. Now it came about in the days when the judges governed that there was a famine in the land, and a man of Bethlehem in Judah went to reside in the land of Moab with his wife and his 2 sons. The name of the man was Elimelech, and the name of his wife, Naomi, and the name of his 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion, Ephrathites of Bethlehem in Judah. So they entered the land of Moab and remained there. Then Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left with her 2 sons, and they took for themselves Moabite women as wives. Moabite. The name of the one was Orpah, and the name of the other was Ruth. And then they lived there. And they lived there about 10 years. Then both Mahlon and Chilion also died. And the woman was left without her 2 sons and her husband. Sorry. Then she arose with her daughters-in-law to return from the land of Moab, because she had heard in the land of Moab that the Lord had visited his people by giving them food. So she departed from the place where she was, and her 2 daughters-in-law with her. And they went on their way to return to the land of Judah. But Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, "Go, return, each of you to your mother's house. May the Lord deal kindly with you as you have dealt with the dead, and with me. May the Lord grant that you may find a place of rest, each one of you in the house of her husband." Then they kissed them, and they raised their voices and wept. However, they said to her, "No, but we will return with you to your people." But Naomi said, "Return, my daughters. Why should you go with me? Do I still have sons in my womb that they may be your husbands? Return, my daughters, go, for I am too old to have a husband." I said, "I have hope. If I were to even have a husband tonight and also give birth to sons, would you therefore wait until they were grown? Would you therefore remain from marrying? No, my daughters. For it is much more bitter for me than for you, because the hand of the Lord has come out against me." And they raised their voices and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth clung to her. Then she said, "Behold, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and her gods. Return after your sister-in-law." But Ruth said, "Do not plead with me to leave you or to turn back from following you. For where you go, I will go, and where you sleep, I will sleep, and your people shall be my people, and your God my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord do so to me, and worse, if anything but death separates me from you." When she saw that she was determined to go with her, she stopped speaking about it. So they both went on until they came to Bethlehem. And when they had come to Bethlehem, all the city was stirred because of them. And the women said, "Is this Naomi?" But she said to them, "Do not call me Naomi. Call me Mara, for the Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty. Why do you call me Naomi, since the Lord has testified against me, and the Almighty has afflicted me?" So Naomi returned with her Ruth. So Naomi returned, and with her Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, who returned from the land of Moab. And they came to Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest. And they came to Bethlehem at the beginning of the barley harvest. Now Naomi had a relative of her husband, a man of great wealth of the family of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. Okay. All right. Now there's an acquaintance. Another reading is an acquaintance. So maybe it wasn't a relative. Had a, here, let's see. Oh, okay. A relative, a powerful relative, a relative, a wealthy, influential man. Oh, now there was a wealthy and influential man in Bethlehem named Boaz, who was a relative of Naomi's husband. Okay. Oh, I see. A man of great wealth. Okay, I get it now. All right. The NASB, they change the order of the words a little bit. Sometimes different Bible. They're kind of weird when I look at the camera. Whoa. Sorry. Sometimes different Bible translations will change the order of the words. Okay. It doesn't necessarily, like 99% of the time, it doesn't really matter. So here, look at this. Here's a good Bible study thing. Look at it in different Bible translations, not to try and understand what is the verse saying. No, always, yes, do that. But looking at several, look at several Bible translations in order to get what the verse is saying, what the passage is saying, what the word is. Like we did with our relative, and we saw acquaintance, but everywhere else it says relative. Relative, relative. Everywhere else is relative. Oh, kinship tie. Okay, we'll look at that in a minute. So you can also look at several different passages of the Bible in order to see the different ways that the translators translate them. And what that forces you to do is to figure out the verse better on your own. Here's what I mean. Watch this. And we'll go with the ESV. Now Naomi had a relative of her husband's, a worthy man of the clan of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. All right. Had a relative of her husband, a worthy man of the clan of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. Okay, let's go over here. Now there was a wealthy and influential man in Bethlehem named Boaz. Wait. Now there was a wealthy and influential man in the name of in Bethlehem named Boaz. Back over here to the ESV. Now Naomi, where's Naomi? It's not there. Naomi is down here. Okay. So now there was a wealthy and influential man right here, a worthy man in Bethlehem of the clan of Elimelech. It doesn't even say Bethlehem, does it? Huh. Okay, I just looked real quick with my eyes. This is the only one that says Bethlehem. None of the other ones say Bethlehem. Okay, so the NLT is trying to tell us, hey, the man's in Bethlehem. Don't forget, we're in Bethlehem. NLT is trying to help us out. It's trying to help us remember. They just got to Bethlehem. Seems a little redundant to me. We knew they were in Bethlehem from the last chapter. I mean, whenever you got a paper Bible, there's no chapter separations even. You just reading down and have to click. No. You don't, right? You just read down. Oh, there's chapter 2. You just keep reading. It's just from Bethlehem. So I'm not sure why the NLT did that. Who knows? They can do whatever they want, I guess. Not whatever. Don't go doing any weird stuff now. Digging in your ear on YouTube. All right. And let's say, okay. There was a wealthy and influential man. Okay, look at this. Who was a relative of Naomi's husband, Elimelech. Who is a relative of Naomi's husband, should be down here. Look, it's at the bottom. Should be down here. But the relative part, who was a relative, now Naomi had a relative. The relative part is up there. Let's look at two right by each other. NABRE, whatever, I forget what that is. There you go. New American Bible Revised Edition. And NIV, New International Version. Okay. Naomi. Okay. Now, Naomi. Okay, it's trying to show a change, the word now. They're trying to say, okay, changing scenes. Okay. So they got to Bethlehem. The women were like, hey, it's Naomi. She's like, don't call me Naomi. I'm Mara because I'm bitter. And they're like, oh, okay, I guess. And, the Lord has taken everything from me. And it says, and they got to Bethlehem in time of the barley harvest. Now, right there, now. Oh, actually, you can even see this. Now, ESV now, NET now. All of them have now, except the NABRE. That's a really long example. We're not gonna look at that just yet. So, all right. I mean, a really long note. That's a really long note. We're not gonna look at it just yet. Okay. So these two right side by side. Naomi had a powerful relative. Now Naomi had a relative. No, powerful. Listen, a man of standing. A man of standing, a powerful relative. So Naomi had a man of standing relative because Naomi had a powerful relative. Or if you change the NABRE to look like the NIV, Naomi had a relative. Right here, put a powerful man. You see, right there, you can put a powerful man because there's there's powerful. You see, they why do they change it? They're trying to be like, hey, how would we word it for English speakers to best get what the original hearers heard or what the original said, literally word for word. Try to change the word order as little as possible in the NASB and in the ESV. When you translate from Hebrew to English, you're trying to change the word order as little as possible in the word for word. But you get over in the thought for thought, you change the word order more so that we can hear what a Jewish person would have heard. When a Hebrew read this story, what feelings and understandings would that Hebrew have gotten back in that time? They want us to get the same feelings and understandings in the NIV, the CSB, and especially the NLT. They want us to get the same feeling and understanding. They want to immerse us here. They want to tell us what the exact words are. NASB, ESV, NET kind of. Over here, they want us to know what they would have felt, what they would have heard, what they would have understood. If I was like, it's raining cats and dogs outside, and you translated that into Spanish, I don't know dog in Spanish. Agua el gato. Oh man, I'm horrible. But if you translate it into Spanish and you went to Mexico and you told somebody it's raining cats and dogs, however you'd say it in Spanish, they would probably be like, what are you talking about? Do they have that idiom? I don't think so. I was listening to a British radio podcast debate, Christian debate, unbelievable, with a question mark at the end. Listening to that, it's over in Britain. The host talked about across the pond. I quickly understood he meant across on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. He would say, our American neighbors across the pond. The pond? It's not a pond, it's an ocean. There's no pond, or we're not your neighbors. We're like really far away. And I've never used the term across the pond. if I said, hey, go across the pond, I'd be talking to my kids and tell them to go in the woods over, go just on the other side of this body of water. He wouldn't like, okay, I'm going to go over the Atlantic Ocean now. He wouldn't understand it that way. The CSB and the NLT, especially in the NIV, they're trying to put in our words what they would have heard back then. So if I was talking to the British guy and I said, hey, you are our neighbors across the pond, probably wouldn't say that. I would say, hey, you are way across the Pacific Ocean, but you're still friends and neighbors to us. Atlantic Ocean. The British guy would need to say that to the American to get the meaning across, because the American might not understand across the pond. So, but if I was translating something from English to British and I was like a British expert and I saw across the Atlantic Ocean were our friends, the British. If I translating quote unquote from American English to more British style English, I would say across the pond were our neighbors, the Britons or the British. Do they call themselves Brits or Britons or British? I'm sorry, guys. This is a long thing, okay? Don't let it, if we change the word order, don't let that fool you. NET, NABR. That probably means that the grammar is kind of difficult. Like, wait, what were they trying to emphasize? Well, I'm not sure what they were trying to emphasize, So they try to emphasize it over here. Over here, they just try to do it the same exact way. Okay. Now, Naomi had a relative of her husband. Her husband was Elimelech. A relative doesn't necessarily mean like a brother. Like Boaz wasn't Elimelech's dad or something. It's just a relative, it could be a distant cousin or something. Naomi had a relative of her husband. In fact, look at this. Yes, we're going to do it. I'm going to put this up here. It's going to show you what okay. Relatives. Abram said to Lot, please, Lot, for we are relatives. But Lot was Abram's nephew. So they are relatives. Lot, Abram is Lot's uncle. They're relatives, So I guess Boaz could be, Elimelech's brother or nephew or something, but probably not. As we go through the story, you'll see. All right. I'm going to, right here, 24:4, full chapter. Now, Abraham was old, advanced in age, and the Lord had blessed Abraham in every way. Abraham said to his servant, the oldest of his household, who was in charge of all that he owned, please place your hand under my thigh, and I will make you swear by the Lord. Imagine if I said, hey, servant, come here. I need you to promise me something. The servant said, okay, no. First, put your hand under my thigh before you promise me. Oh, yikes. Today, hey, promise me. Here, pinky swear. Maybe that's from the 80s, 90s. I don't know. Hey, look, promise me. Look, I promise I will. Okay, you swear. Yes, I swear. Okay. Hand under the thigh. What? No, but I mean, that's the way it's a different world back then. We're a different world from them. If they came up to us, to our time, they would be like, these people are crazy. So I mean, all right. I will make you swear by the Lord, the God of heaven and the God of earth, that you, Abraham is telling his servant this. Abraham's really old. He's got a servant who's in charge of everything for him. Okay. Abraham's telling his servant, you shall not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I live. Remember, Abraham had to leave his family and household. Naomi did that. Abraham had to leave his family and his household, and he went and lived in the land of Canaan. So he's living there in Canaan. He's got no relatives down there. All his relatives are elsewhere. He left his relatives. Okay, so you shall not take a wife from my son for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites among whom I live, but you will go to my country and to my relatives. Could have been Abraham's brothers or sisters. Could have been Abraham's aunts and uncles or, nieces and nephews up there. There's probably also cousins, distant cousins. People tended to live, together. They didn't move very far. Abraham leaving everything was crazy. Very strange. That just didn't happen, So whenever Abraham says, hey, go up to this very far, it's pretty far away, go up to this far geographical location, and amongst my relatives, you go to that little geographical location, you're most likely to find somebody. And that's what happened. It's a relative. You don't have to really search too much, probably. And that's what happens. Okay, go to my country to my relatives, take a wife for my son Isaac. Okay. You want a wife from your relatives. Evidently, it's not saying go up there and find one of my sister's brothers. They weren't doing the incest thing anymore. Well, Adam and Eve, they had sons and daughters. Who did they marry? A little weird. I know whenever Noah and his sons got off the ark, Noah's sons had 3 wives. They all have kids. I guess they can marry the other kids, but they're still brothers. And it's like, hey, I got 2 uncles and I'm marrying one of my cousins. It's kind of weird. And it seems as though today we definitely don't do that. It causes all sorts of genetic problems. People assume that back in the time of Adam and Eve, whenever we were first created, oh, hey, our genetics were more pure. We had eaten less crazy, crappy stuff. We didn't have as much pollution in our body. We were more healthy and stuff. So we could do the incest thing. It's just weird to think about. See how different it was back then? Yeah. I could have married my sister and gotten away with it health-wise. Today, no. Okay, in Abraham's time, they weren't doing that anymore either. Good thing. Listen to a podcast talking about the culture of the time, and they did say that the Pharaoh would marry his sister. Okay, but that's not what this is about. So when he says, go to my relatives and take, okay, just a relative, just somebody, just a distant cut. My sister's my relative, but I probably have relatives I've never met that I don't know who they are. I live in another state. We are related technically, like quote unquote, but not really. All right. I wonder if I always go to Genesis. I go to Genesis a lot. I like Genesis. It has a lot of the cultural stuff. So using deception, he successfully sent messengers to Abimelech, saying, behold, Gal of the son of Ebed and his relative. I need to read Judges more. So Gal and the son of Ebed came with his relatives. I need to read more. Abimelech tried to take over and become king. Abimelech was Gideon's son. Yeah. Hallelujah. Now then, is Boaz not our relative? Ruth 3:2. Okay. That tells us there actually. Ruth 3:2. Boaz is not their relative. Boaz is technically Naomi's relative, right? And actually not even Naomi's relative. Boaz is Elimelech's relative. Blood relative, right? Elimelech married Naomi, who actually Naomi was probably a relative, yeah, because they married within the family, like I'm saying. So Naomi could have been a relative, not like a sister or something, probably a distant cousin somewhere far away, from another family, but not another, like from another family unit, but not necessarily from another tribe or something. Judah might have married within Judah. So, and Judah had hundreds of people. You got Judah's one guy, right? Well, then he starts having kids and having more kids, having more kids, having more kids. Eventually, you're not related. You're so far removed, you're not related anymore, right? So Boaz Is Boaz our relative? Boaz is not Ruth's relative. We know that because Ruth came from Moab. But Boaz is Ruth's relative so far as Ruth was married to Naomi's son. Ruth said, I will stay with you, Naomi. Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, will stay. Your people will be my people. Your God will be my God. Ruth is like, no, I am your family. Okay. Back then, today we would say, oh, she's family. Oh, he's family. When we actually look at it that way, oh, it's just kind of a cute thing. Oh, we might as well be family, you know. Well, back then they looked at it, it was very serious. It was like, no, actual family, you know. They knew it wasn't blood, but it was almost like a contractual contract thing. Like this is official. She's officially family to Naomi. Like family in law, no, like actual family. You know, they were very serious with the whole family tie thing. I mean, they did do the whole brother and sister thing for a while there. All right. Anyway, I guess I got the point across. Yeah, go back over here. Now, Naomi had a relative of her husband, a man of great wealth, of the family of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. Why would they tell us that right now? If we read on, let's see why they would suddenly tell us about Naomi's relative Boaz. Let's see if we read on a few verses. Okay. And Ruth the Moabitess said to Naomi, why do they call her Ruth the Moabitess? Okay, let's just keep reading. Said to Naomi the Israelitess, but for some reason they say Moabitess. Okay. Ruth the Moabitess said to Naomi, please let me go to the field and glean among the ears of grain, following one in whose eyes I may find favor. And Naomi said to Ruth, go, my daughter. She's going to go to the field and get some grain. So Ruth left and went and gleaned in the field after the reapers. And she happened to come to the portion of the field belonging to Boaz, who was of the family of Elimelech. I already told us that. If they told us that here, why did they tell us that up here? The chapter break is actually in a pretty good place. Sometimes the chapter break's not such a good place, but here I believe what's going on. I believe what's going on here. We've already got Naomi and Elimelech. They lived in Bethlehem. Like it made a big deal to tell us that. You know, Bethlehem of Ephraim, not just Bethlehem, but Bethlehem of Ephraim. 1 second, guys. Here we go. Okay, Ruth chapter 1, previous chapter. There we go. Okay. A man of Bethlehem in Judah. The man's name was Elimelech. The name of his son's wife is Naomi. The name of his son Malachil. Ephrathites of Bethlehem in Judah. So they already told us they were in Bethlehem. They already said they were in Judah. And not only that, they're Ephrathites of Bethlehem in Judah. You know, why are they telling us that? Why are they making sure to tell us all that? And here, Naomi had a relative of her husband and in a great wealth of the family of Elimelech, whose name was Boaz. Why did they tell us all that? Why they tell right down here? They told us Boaz, who was the family of Elimelech. You know, I think what they're and then they call her Ruth the Moabitess. They haven't said that yet about her. They were like, there's people from Moab. I don't believe. Control F, Moab. Okay. They took for themselves Moabite wives. Moabite. Okay. So Naomi returned, and with her Ruth the Moabitess. So it does tell her Moabitess right there. Okay. Making sure and letting us know it's Ruth the Moabitess. We already know that. Why are they emphasizing that? Why are they telling us that? This isn't the NLT, which is going to say, so Naomi returned from Moab, accompanied with Ruth, the daughter-in-law, the young Moabite woman. So the NLT is like, hey, don't forget, she's from Moabite. Over here, Ruth the Moabitess. This is more literal. You know, why is it giving us the titles and such? I believe what's going on with the titles is trying to say, this person's from Judah. This person's from Judah, Bethlehem, Ephrathite. This person's a Moabite. She's a Moabitess. Bethlehem, Judah, Moabite. No good. They don't like each other. There's Bible history behind it, you know. Let's look it up real quick. I believe it's telling us that to try to show us the distinction between, hey, Boaz is of the family of Naomi, right? The family of Naomi. Excuse me. Never smoked a day in my life. Boaz is a relative of Naomi. Naomi has a relative named Boaz. Naomi says to Ruth, eventually, where is it at? Oh, it doesn't tell us right here. Somewhere down there, Naomi says, hey, he is a cousin of mine, you know, he is a relative of ours. She might say a relative of ours. She might just say mine, you know? But they're connected. Their family, Judah, Ephrathite, Bethlehem, you know, and you got Moab over here, trying to separate the two. Ruth is a Moab. Don't forget she's a Moabitess. I mean, what else would they say? I don't know. There might be other reasons, you know, but as we read, all right, here. Jeremiah was well after the time of Ruth, but let's read real quick. Concerning Moab, this is what the Lord of armies, the God of Israel, says: woe to Nebo, for it has been destroyed. I bet Nebo is a city. Kiriathim has been put to shame. It has been captured. I bet it's a city. Yeah. The high stronghold has been put to shame and shattered. There is no longer praise for Moab. I bet Nebo and Kiriathim are in the land of Moab. And Heshbon, they have devised disaster against her. Come and let's cut her off from being a nation. You too, madmen. So they're gonna just, you know, prophecy against Moab. They don't like Moab. Now that's Jeremiah. That's well after the time of Ruth. Maybe they were tight in the days of Ruth. You know, Jeremiah was a prophet way after all the king, like in one of the very last king, actually. Yeah. You know, Ruth was well before all the kings. This is hundreds of years later, you know. All right. Let's see. Control F. Moab. There we go. Now Lot went up from Zoar with his 2 daughters and stayed in the mountains because he was afraid to stay in Zoar. And he stayed in a cave, he and his 2 daughters. Then the firstborn said to the younger, so he's with his 2 daughters. The firstborn said to the younger, our father is old, and there is not a man on earth to have relations with us according to the custom of all the earth. There's not a man on earth to have relations with us. Sodom and Gomorrah was just destroyed. So, yeah. When God destroyed the city's surrounding area, okay. So maybe they think, you know, Sodom and Gomorrah is destroyed. That's it. That's the end of the world. And they're living in the mountains. Are there men in the mountains? Even if there were, everywhere has just been destroyed, or everywhere, you know. All right. So our father's old, and our father's not going to have sons that we can then, okay. Oh, wait a minute. We haven't got to that part yet. The firstborn said to the younger, our father is old, and there's not a man on earth for us to have relations to come into, to have sex with, according to the custom of all the earth. They want to do the custom. They want to have sex with husbands, with the, you know, with the dude. Come, let's make our father drink wine and let's sleep with him so that we may keep our family alive through our father. Remember what we talked about, all that stuff about daughters. Ladies, females, they really wanted babies, and people really wanted their family line to continue. They really wanted it. The daughters are going to take this in their own hands. They need so I was just talking about how no incest, they aren't going to do that. Yes, there are messed up people in the Bible. They are doing this. If Lot passed away and the daughters passed away, to us, it's like, you know, it's a tragedy, sure, but okay, you know, me and my wife, we don't have any kids. I can't have kids because of a medical issue. I could adopt kids, yes, but I can't have biological kids because of a medical issue. You know, it's not going to happen. You know, my wife passed away and I got married to another lady, still wouldn't happen. I mean, I'm just not going to have kids, because of me. So, okay, so I die. Hey, I've still got brothers and sisters. They'll carry on the family name. If there's no family of BJ, and that's fine. I don't care. That's normal. Not so back then. It's a different world back then. They wanted that family name to continue this bad. Come, let's make our father drink wine. We're going to get him drunk. Let's sleep with him so we may keep our family alive through our father. So they made their father drink wine that night. Now he's really old. And the firstborn went in and slept with their father. And he did not know when she lay down or got up. On the following day, the firstborn said to the younger, to the older, the firstborn, the first one born. The older said to the younger, look, I slept last night with my father. Let's make him drunk with wine tonight too. Then you go on and sleep. They want to make sure, like, hey, I slept with him. I might not get pregnant. You go sleep. How about what? Hey, if I was a younger, hey, you go keep sleeping with him. I don't know. They do want babies. So I bet the younger was like, I'll do that because I want a child that bad. So they had their father drink wine that night too. And the younger got up and slept with him. And he did not know when she lay down or got up. Dude's so old. He gets drunk. He doesn't know what's going on. All right, here we go. And so both of the daughters of Lot conceived by their father. They both got pregnant. The firstborn gave birth to a son and named him Moab. He is the father of the Moabites to this day. Ooh, hey, look at that. It's all coming together. Ruth is a relative of an incest. Is it incest? A father daughter doing it? What do you call that? Anyway, she had very. I'm going to type something into Google. It's going to be okay. Oh, that's kind of dirty. What do you call it? Talking sex for your relationship. How to talk to kids about no. Parent, children, having. Yeah. What to do when your kids walk in your house is my kid. With each other. All right, don't worry about it. Little free library. This is not for kids. All right, so Ruth was the product. Now, Abraham, Isaac, this is Abraham. Lot is Abraham's nephew. So there's Abraham, then there's Isaac, then there's Jacob, then there's all the periods of the judges. This is a few hundred years later, at least. Okay. 200, 100, 200 years later. No. So she's not like, hey, my dad was a my great, probably not. Ruth probably isn't going to say my great grandfather is Lot, right? Probably not that close. Here we go. You cannot see that, can y'all? I can barely see it. Exodus, Promised Land, Kings in the Temple. No. Bible time. I cannot see that, man. We'll do Bible study. We'll look at it next time. We'll look at it next time. For now, it's many years later. Ruth is probably not related by modern day. I'm not related to anybody from the 1800s. I mean, I am. I got relatives, but I'm not really. By their standards, by our standards, not related. But just like if there's an Allen family name way back in the 1800s that did some really horrible, awful stuff, today people don't look at me and go, "You're BJ." Oh, Allen, because back in the 1800s they did no. Nobody cares. Back then, Ruth is a Moabite. They could look at her and go, hey, you were conceived of in a horrible way. Your progenitor, the person who originated you, was a bad, no good. That was not cool. They would look at it that way. They would say where you came from originally, from Lot and Lot's daughter. Oh, no good. They wouldn't like that. Okay. Full chapter, Exodus 15:15. Let's look at this. Okay. Moses and Israel sang the song. This is right after they're going through the Red Sea. The Israelites make it on the other side of the Red Sea, and then the Red Sea falls and all the Egyptian army is destroyed, right? Moses is coming out of Egypt. They get to the sea. God parts the sea. They walk through it. Then the sea collapses, destroys, Pharaoh and his army. Pharaoh's chariots and his army he has thrown into the sea. The choices of his officers drowned in the sea. Right there. Yeah, there you go. The peoples have heard, they tremble. Anguish has gripped the inhabitants of Philistia. That's another country. The chiefs of Edom were terrified. Edom's a country. The leaders of Moab, trembling grips them. All the inhabitants of Canaan have despaired. Terror and dread fall upon them. By you, the greatness of your arm, they are motionless as stone until your people pass over, Lord, until your people whom you have purchased. Hey, pretty cool. You purchased them. Okay. They're scared. All these people are like, whoa, why? Look at this. Who is like you among the gods, Lord? Who is like you, majestic in holiness? Awesome in praises, working wonders. You reached out with your right hand, the earth swallowed them. It was actually the Red Sea, right? Your faithfulness, you've led your people, you've redeemed. Good. Yeah. And strength, you've guided them to your holy habitation. Yeah. So he destroys their army. He leads them to safety. And what happens to the people in Canaan? Terrified. Moab trembling. Why would it say that? Maybe because they assume, oh man, Israel is coming after us. I mean, they haven't been told that yet, I don't think. So, looking more about Moab. Full chapter 21:11. Leads to Moab, the behemoth of the valley of the Moab. Elias from Heshbon was the city of the king of Amorites who fought against the former king of Moab. So they're by Moab, basically. Because look, Arnon is the border of Moab between Moab and the Amorites. Amorites, remember, was also, where's it at? Full chapter. Ammon, right there. So, that's Ammonites. Amorites. Hey, I caught it. You would think I would know these things. From Bama to the valley of the land of Moab. So they're talking about they're going to the Moab. A fire spread, a flaming. Is this? Wait. Just a minute. Is devoured Ar of Moab, the dominant heights of a fire has spread from Heshbon. Remember we read earlier about Jeremiah right here. There's no longer right here. Woe to Nebo, for it has been destroyed. Kiriathaim has been put to shame, has been captured. The high, strong land has been put to shame and shattered. There's no longer praise for Moab. In Heshbon, they have devised disaster against her. So Heshbon with Moab down here. Where was it? The land of Arnon, the fire has spread upon the town of Sion. I could have swore I saw Heshbon down here. Control F. Heshbon. There's Heshbon. There's one. One of three. There we go. For Heshbon was the city of Sihon, king of the Amorites. Oh, who had fought against the former king of Moab. So Heshbon is fighting against. Heshbon was the city of Sihon, the king of the Amorites. Sihon, the king of the Amorites, Heshbon, they fought against Moab. Okay, so Heshbon and Moab in the days of Moses, they're going after it. In the days of Jeremiah, a few centuries later, they're still going at it, still beating each other up because Jeremiah and Heshbon, they have devised disaster against Moab. Yeah. All right. This right here, if I'm correct, okay, 2 victories. Come to Heshbon, Control F, Moab. And then they set out. So the sons of Israel moved out and camped in Obeth. Okay. I'm going to read really fast. They journeyed from Obeth and camped in the wilderness opposite Moab to the east. From the east, they camped at Wadi. They camped. The wilderness across is Arnon Bor between Moab, so they're camping there. Okay, and there's a little. For this reason, it is said in the book of the wars, that's what it says in the book of the wars of the Lord, whatever that is. I don't know what the book is. We don't have the book of the wars of the Lord, but it says right here. Okay, from there they continue to beer. Yeah. There's from the well, the symbol of the people, I may give them water. Israelites sing the song because he gave them water. Spring up a well, you sing it, spring up the victory. They continue to Matna. So they're away from Moab now. Control F. Moab, 1 of 8. Oh, okay. So they're journeying. Okay. 2 victories. Israel sent messengers to Sihon, king of the Amorites. Okay. All right. For Heshbon was a city, and for that reason, look at that. All this stuff's bad about Moab. Because for the reason those who use Proverbs say, come to Heshbon, let it be built. So let the city of Sihon be. So remember, for Heshbon was the city of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who had fought against the former king of Moab and had taken all of his land. So Heshbon, Sihon, the king of Heshbon, destroys Moab, takes all of his land. For that reason, look at all this bad stuff about Moab. Woe to you, Moab. You're a destroyer, people like Chemosh. He's given his sons as fugitives and his daughters into captivity to an Amorite king, Sihon. I see. So the Israelites lived in the land of the Amorites. Now Moses, okay, so it doesn't say anything about doesn't say anything bad about Moab here. I don't know. Oh, wrong one. Up here. Elders of Moab, the elders of Midian left with fees of divination in their hands. They came to Balaam and reported Balak's words to him. And he said, spend that. Okay. Right here. The sons of Israel journeyed on and they camped in the plains of Moab. So earlier in Numbers chapter 21, they were camping kind of in between Moab. They weren't in Moab. They kind of walked away. But remember, they're wandering around. So they're going in circles. Now they camped in the plains of Moab. So Moab was in great fear because of the people, for they were numerous. And Moab was in dread because of the sons of Israel. Full chapter. Now Balak saw that all Israel had done to the Amorites. So Balak, the son of Zippor. So Moab was in great, I guess Balak is in charge of Moab because Moab was in great fear because of the people, Israel, for they were numerous. Israel was numerous. Moab said to the elders of Midian, now this horde will eat us all up and all that is around us, and the ox eats up the grass of the field. And Balak, the son of Zippor, was king of Moab at that time. So he sent messengers to Balaam, the son of Beor at Pether. All right. They're going to have a battle. Moab Okay. Balaam said to Balak, build 7 altars for me and prepare 7 bulls. Okay. Balak wants Balaam to curse Israel. Balak wants Balaam to curse Israel. Okay. Now God met with Balaam. He said to him, okay, then the Lord put a word in Balaam's mouth. Return to Balak, and this is what you shall speak. So Balak and Moab scared to death of Israel. Hey, Balaam, come curse Israel. Was it a curse? Here's the curse. All right. Then Balak said to Balaam, what have you done to me? I took you to put a curse on the enemies, but behold, you have actually blessed them. Hey, Balaam replied, must I not be careful to speak what the Lord puts in my mouth? Then Balak said, please come with me to another place from where you may see them. Although you will only see the extreme end of them. So they're on a high mountain and they're looking down into the plain. So you may see Israelite, because remember, Just picture they're on a high plateau and they're looking down. You will see the extreme end of them, and put a curse on them from me from there. Okay. He still wants them to curse him. This is no good, right? Balak said to Balaam, do not curse them or do not bless them at all. But Balaam replied to Balak, did I not tell you whatever the Lord speaks I must do? Balaam blesses them again. All this, a blessing. Why does Moab want to curse Israel? It's not a good thing, So Balaam arose and departed, returned from his, and Balak also went on his way. Because Balaam never cursed them. Okay. When Israel remained in Shittim, the people began to commit infidelity with the daughters of Moab. For Moab invited the people of Israel to the sacrifices of Moab's gods. And the people ate and bowed down to their gods. Israel, come on. Israel was camped in the land of Moab. So Israel became followers of Baal of Peor, and the Lord was angry with them. Yep. And the Lord said to Moses, take all the leaders of the people and execute them in broad daylight before the Lord, so that the fierce anger of the Lord may turn away from Israel. Yikes. Okay. Each of you kill his men who have become followers of Baal. So not just random leaders. Don't worry. So they killed the ones that were causing the problem. Today we'd be like, no, just put them in jail. Well, they didn't have jails. They killed them. That's what they did. Okay. Right here. Okay, it doesn't say it yet. But somewhere around these chapters, it says Balaam. Remember, he tried to prophesy, right? I'm sorry. He tried to curse Israel, right? Balak wants Balaam to curse Israel. Balaam instead blesses Israel. Balak, the king of Moab, is like, whatever, go away. After multiple tries, whatever, go away. You're not going to curse them. Israel then starts committing fornication with their people of Moab. Start worshiping the gods of Moab. We're told later in one of those chapters, I don't recall which one it is, that Balaam said, we're back to Balaam. So Balak says, hey, Balaam, curse them. Balaam doesn't, then Balaam leaves. Later, we're told that Balaam said, hey, Balak, we can't curse them. Instead, let your women entice them. Then their God will destroy them. In other words, Balaam said, hey, I can't curse them, but if you can get them to commit immorality, they'll be in trouble with their own God. It's a tricky way. Balaam's tricky there. I mean, that's what happens, right? I wish I could find that. I'm just repeating it. It's like, BJ, how do I know you're telling the truth? I agree. I wish I could find it. Actually, I bet I probably could. I'm gonna have to go soon because I'm going to the Remnant Radio, and they start at 4 o'clock. So I'm gonna listen to them on YouTube. The Remnant Radio on YouTube. Go to YouTube and listen to the Remnant Radio. Let's hit the lollipop there. Balaam. Gonna go Numbers 22, Numbers 22, Numbers 22, 22, 22. Whew. Okay. 31:8. 23, Balak did just balance. Okay. 23. This is still, did I not tell you? I must do whatever the Lord speaks. That's what Balaam, remember? Okay, 24. Oh, Balaam arose and departed. Right here. Where's it at? Control F. Balaam. They killed the kings of Midian along with the rest of the killed, Evie, Rechem, Zer, Hur, Reba, the 5 kings of Midian. They also killed Balaam, the son of Beor, with the sword. So they killed Balaam. And the sons of Israel took captive the women of Midian and their little ones, and they plundered all their city, their cattle. I could have swore. Oh. Balaam. Okay. Right here. Moses said to them, have you spared all the women? Because up here it says they took all the plunders, both the people and livestock. So they kept women. Okay, they kept them alive. Moses said to them, have you spared the women? Remember, there was a fight. They killed the kings of Midian. They also killed Balaam, but they kept the women. Okay, so Moses is saying, why did you spare the women? Behold, they caused the sons of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to be unfaithful to the Lord in the matter of Peor, so that the plague took place among the congregation of the Lord. Through the counsel of Balaam, these women caused Israelites to be unfaithful. Through the counsel of, so Balaam was like, hey, if you maybe Balaam gave this kind of counsel. I can't curse the people. God won't let me. Here's what you do instead. Get those people to start worshiping your gods. Get the women, because they, the women, caused the sons of Israel, right here, to be unfaithful to the Lord. Get the women to entice them, probably sexually. That's my guess. Because sexual rituals were a pretty common thing. Get the women to entice them, and to come worship our gods. So see all this damage in Moab. All this to say, Moab has caused a lot of damage. Moab the son? No. But Moab's family, Moab's tribe, this is Lot. Moab was the son of Lot and one of his daughters, his older daughter, I believe, if I remember. And then there's Jacob, so it's Abraham, whose nephew is Lot. Then you got Isaac is the son of Abraham. Jacob is the son of Isaac. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. They go in the promised land for like 400 years. So this is many years later, okay? But they still would have thought, oh no, look what you did those many years ago. You're an illegitimate son, basically. Well, now Moab, 500 years, 600 years later, is attacking Israel. Ruth is related to these people. Ruth is related to them. Okay. Why does it keep telling us Ruth is a Moabitess? Moabite. We read this before, okay? The firstborn gave birth to her son. Yeah, we read that. Just as the sons of Esau, and Sarah, who did live until I crossed. Okay. No, Deuteronomy 23. No Ammonite. Remember, the sons of Ammon was the son of the younger daughter. I believe the younger daughter. The firstborn gave birth to a son and named him Moab. Okay. So the older daughter gave birth to Moab, the son, which is now the country of Moab. So a Moabite is a descendant of Moab who lives in the country of Moab. Ammon is the other son of Lot. So, and there's this country called Ammon, and the people are Ammonites. No Ammonite or Moabite may enter the assembly of the Lord. None of their descendants, even to the 10th generation, may ever enter the assembly of the Lord. May ever. That either means A, none of their descendants, even to the 10th generation, may ever enter the. That either means A, after the 10th generation, they can't enter. Or that means just never ever. I think a way to say forever and ever, never, period. God says, if you're good to me, I will bless your generation for thousands of generations. That's usually what it means by forever and ever and ever. Okay. So here it just says to the 10th. That just means a really long time is probably what that means. So eventually, a really long time later, Moabs can come into the assembly of the Lord. Still be frowned upon. Judges 3:28. Then he pursued them, for the Lord has handed your enemies, the Moabites, over to you. They struck and killed about 10,000 Moab. So even in the time of the judges, the Moabites are enemies of Israel. Ruth is a Moabite. Right here. Naomi had a relative of her husband, a man of great wealth, the family of Elimelech. Ruth the Moabitess, who's poor, isn't married, and is of the family of the Moabites. Is the story trying to tell us that? I think it is. Either way, in real life, they would not have had good relations. I mean, Naomi had a husband who took her from Israel to a foreign country and then let her son marry Moabite women. So Naomi might have even been looked down upon. Why did you let your sons do that? Wait, you brought back this? It doesn't tell us that. I agree. Okay. It doesn't tell us that. I agree. But it is making a big deal about their names and their titles, it seems. They weren't like, hey, let me just remind you. It's like telling us for a purpose. So. All right, guys. Like I said, gonna go catch the Remnant Radio at 4:00. Stop share. So I'm gonna go ahead and let you go. So I can go get me some. Well, I got water right here, I guess. Maybe go get me some coffee. I'm kind of cold. Things blowing on me there. Some warm coffee would be good. All right. I'll pray real quick for us. Lord God, thank you very much for helping us understand all this. You are the God of detail sometimes, and you want us to, you give us detail, like about people in the Bible. But of course, we know you're the God of love, and you love us despite us being Moabites or Ammonites, or, despite us. I mean, I'm a Gentile, Lord God. I am not a Jew, yet you love me. Thank you, Lord. Amen. See you guys later.